welcome to this practice of an hour of presence, where we'll be spending this hour, first 30 minutes, laying the foundation of accessing our inner nature retreat, accessing these qualities of presence really tangibly and evidently in our experience. And then we have planned for the second half, where with this foundation, we can go on many adventures. And in the second half, we'll be going on the adventure of how we can especially use the first quality of presence, this contactful, mutual connection that is a way of nature, to deeply relax physically, deeply feel into that neutrality of nature, that interconnection and lack of separation, and see how that may enable us to feel both physically. This can be a great one to do as a way to fall asleep at night, for example. And also finding once again that in these qualities of nature that we can find in our inner nature retreat, finding how they resource us, how they can feel deeply restful, yes, and connecting in a way that supports us at so many levels. So let's begin. And close the eyes if you'd like. Just inviting the awareness to be more on the inside, more on our internal landscape. Including the flow of the breath in that landscape. And as the air leaves our body, perhaps sometimes with a sigh as we get started here, just noticing the release that can happen, the letting go, how the out-breath is naturally conducive to that sense of release. And we'll use this now to feel a sense of release and letting go, first in our shoulders. For the next couple of breaths, letting the release of the out-breath help the shoulders to lay down, and rest onto our torso. And then beginning to notice the hands as they rest in the lap. And again, using the releasing sense of the out breath over the next, let's say the next 3 out breaths, to let the hands feel even heavier. Let them lay down. Let them let go. So that at the end of the next out breath, really feeling the heaviness of our hands being given to our lap. It's not a pressing, it's just a giving of their natural weight. And then feeling right into that place of contact, hands and lap, or the felt sense of that experience. To lay down into support, tangibly, contactfully. Noticing that experience has a kind of flavor, becoming a connoisseur of that felt experience, its nuances. And then beginning to notice more the seat in connection with the support beneath. And perhaps seeing if there's any sense already of a similar flavor. Contactfulness, connection. And then again, using the releasing sense of the out breath for 3 out breaths where we let go and lay down a little more fully. Let our weight settle a little more fully by the end of each out breath. Still noticing that place of contact, seat and ground, and the felt experience there. And we'll be doing quite a bit more of this later on, but just taking a moment here and feeling the support coming from the ground into your body. Literally, there's a force of support coming from the ground up into your body. And maybe noticing that a little bit more on the in-breath, like you can breathe in and receive. Take that support more fully in. And this is a yin and yang, seemingly opposites arising together. That will be part of our adventure. in the second half of practice today. And for now, feeling the felt sense of this mutual flow, mutual connection, seat and hands and shoulders. That lets us have that feeling of sitting like a mountain together with the earth. And even though we will be diving more deeply into this mutual flow quality of nature, all the other qualities support it in its expression and feelingfulness and in our practice. And so moving now to the second quality of nature and beginning to notice the flow of air coming in and out of our nose. With a sense of having sat beside a flowing stream and becoming curious about what's the finest flow sensation we can feel right in the space of our nose. Forehead soft, letting the space between the eyes feel wide. And following these fine free flows happening right there in the space inside our nose. And if you're familiar with the alternate nostril focus pattern, and begin to practice that if that supports you in feeling this irresolvability of never quite landing on the finest flow. But a continual opening. Gently opening to this infinity, practically infinite, finer flows within flows, right here in our experience of breath, right at the nose. And if you are practicing with the alternate nostril noticing, and gently let that fade. And gently let a sense of putting the sensations at our nose in the forefront of our attention, let that fade too. And having touched in here with the free flow quality, that we might first feel into in the subtlety of the movement of air and the sensations around that, and yet is everywhere, is how nature is dynamically all these flows within flows arising together. And just noticing too if that sense of our body sitting like a mountain has gone away someplace. And just a reminder that these qualities of nature never leave us. We just tend to forget about them. So reaccessing shoulders, hands, seat, laying down into support, contactfully, mutually. And now we'll even, with this next interval in this foundation series of intervals, we'll feel this more integration of the free flow and the mutual flow quality. Starting by tracing the air at our nose as it comes in and comes down into our body. So on the next couple of in-breaths, tracing that air down inside of us as it comes in. And now beginning to notice the out-breath more and how there's this wave-like motion down the front body as the breath leaves us. And actually tracing that down the front body on the out-breath. From the chest down into the belly. This wave of the body. So on the out breath, feeling that cascading wave and following it, tracing it down the front body. And fundamentally, that cascading wave down the front body is no different than a water wave and the fineness of its free flow and its mutual flow that gives rise to that interconnection we see in the wave. And so let's combine the feeling we have on the in-breath of this fine free flow of air coming down inside us. And then on the out-breath, the downward wave of the front body, just as free flowing and also so tangibly mutual in its wave. On both the in-breath and the out-breath, a sense of downward tracing. And this also helps us with a feeling more of coming down into our body, chi down. And also on the in-breath and the out-breath, opportunities to feel the exquisite fineness of this flow of nature. And we'll begin to invite that feeling of this fine, mutual, flowing, connecting experience of our body into our very sensitive fingers, which will lead us into the third quality of presence and nature's flow. And for this, we go breath by breath and finger by finger, starting with the thumb on the next out breath and slightly elongating the thumb and feeling it all the way to the fingertip. And then doing so for the pointer finger. We're at the end of the out breath, at the end of that finger. And then the middle finger. The slight elongation can just be an inner movement. And breathing out, feeling to the tip of the ring finger or fourth finger. And then all the way to the very tip of the little pinky finger. And repeating again. Using the breath, the inner movement of the finger, and that sense of that fingertip even touching the air just beyond it. As we come to it right at the end of our out-breath and our scans along our fingers. One more time, letting ourselves feel the length of each finger, right to that place where we have that sense, the presence of finger ends, and there's space just beyond that. And now the presence of our fingers not only have length, but have depth and width. And so on this next round, can feel like the breath is filling that finger full of presence, filling its three-dimensional volume full to the brim with the presence of that finger. Since our fingers are full of presence, in space. And now letting gradually the finger by finger filling and the breath by breath practice to fade. And ever so slightly spread all the fingers to feel the spaces in between all 5 fingers on both hands. And how all those spaces between our fingers are part of one whole space. And even our fingers full of body presence. are also full of space, in space, in the same space, in the same one whole space. So continuing to feel the spaces in between all 5 fingers. And maybe even having the sense of how that highlights the space of the fingers themselves, effortlessly, all together. All the fingers, all the space, all at once. And this all at onceness of nature's unfolding that includes our fingers. It's what we might call the now. And perhaps even more simply, it's simply whole. Simply all together at once. Always all together at once. And having felt that for our fingers and hands today, just letting all these qualities of nature's flow be something that we might access here and there, and is everywhere. Just noticing how one is experiencing your body, yourself, here at the halfway of an hour of presence. And now, as promised, we will go in an adventure in the second half to delve more deeply into the first quality, the mutual flow quality, and explore its potential for deep relaxation. And so for this, making a gradual, easy transition to lying on a mat, lying down however can work for you. Perhaps putting a bolster under your knees. Can be helpful to spread the feet a bit apart And also to have the hands a bit out to the sides of the body. And that can help the shoulder blades to more rest on the ground. And as we continue in this practice, you may find yourself wanting to make an adjustment. And that can actually be a sign of greater relaxation and awareness. So can always make small adjustments as your body continues to release and relax tension. So just settling in here, what it's like now to be lying down. Feel your internal landscape when it's horizontal like this. Noticing the flow of the breath in this inner landscape. And how it still has that releasing sense on the out breath. And let's begin by saying that right where we are here is the number 10. And we're going to count down from 10, with 10 releasing breath. And when we reach 0, we will be even more laying down all of our weight into the support of the ground. So starting here with 10, continuing to count down at your pace. Where at the end of the exhalation, you feel a little more fully letting go. Laying down to the earth. And when you reach 0, rest. Rest and notice if the body already feels a little different in its relation and connection with the support beneath. And even so, let me just say, I can practically guarantee there are pockets of tension and holding in all of us right in this moment that we could further let go of. So let's go find those pockets and invite them. Invite them to feel like they can participate fully in this laying down that is always 100% matched in the very same instant as one same event, as support. And let's begin with the very back of our head, noticing the place where our head makes contact with the ground. And to become more attuned to that place of contact and the sensations there. Perhaps being curious if there's any slight shift that happens there with the breath. A felt sense in that experience of contact. And then our heads are so amazingly heavy. And actually allow ourselves to feel the heaviness of our head. And lay it down. Taking 3 breaths to lay the head down more fully to the support right there in that place of contact. And also let the forehead be soft, almost feeling like our brain too is resting in the back of our skull. And our head completely resting into support that's right there. And gradually feeling now into the upper back and the shoulders. Oh, I just found some tension there. And may like to adjust the arms. And again, using the feeling of the breath to really notice the sensations of contact between your upper back and the ground. The felt sense of pressure and contact. Tangible and ever changing with each breath. And taking 3 breaths to let your heart feel like it's resting into your back body, and the back body more completely laying down to the support beneath, right at your shoulders and upper back. And now extending that sense of laying down into the contact of the arms and the floor. Upper arms, elbows, lower arms, all the way to however the hands are resting on the ground. Letting the arms drape upon the ground. They don't have to do a single thing. And perhaps noticing the more we release habitual holding and tension, the heavier our arms can feel, and the more supported our arms can feel. And as they feel more supported, the more they can relax more fully. The heavier they can feel. And giving that heaviness to the earth. There's a feeling of more support. And now gently beginning to notice the seat and the ground here, the heaviness of the pelvis, the tailbone, the hips, feeling where all that weight is making contact with the ground. Literally the surface area of contact and the felt sensations there. And even the subtle movement of the breath in that place of contact. And taking 3 out breaths to let go more fully into that support. To lay down the weight of our hips. And this can be a nice place to feel that sense of breathing in, receiving, soaking in the support right there at our hips. Noticing if there's any resistance to receiving that support. And can just know that the earth is giving it always. And now extending that sense of contact and lay down into support, into wherever our legs make contact with the ground. Perhaps the calves spreading under their weight of the lower legs, and the back of the heel. Anywhere and everywhere our legs make contact with the ground. Letting our legs drape upon the earth. Heavy. Without anything to do. Nothing for our legs to do. But for them to experience their own weight that they always already have. Oh, that's always this gentle embracing of Earth's gravity drawing us to the earth. And receiving that embrace of Earth's gravity and Earth's support along the legs. And now feeling the heels heavy and the back of the hands heavy. The legs laid down, the arms laid down. The hips and the shoulder areas. Laid down to support. Our entire body from the neck down, with nothing to do. Resting into support. And gently include now even the back of your head. So that from the back of your head to your heels, the back of your hands, everything resting together with the earth. And as we feel the entirety of our back body in connection with the earth, taking both sides of this interaction, the force of our body going down into the ground in each place of contact. The force of the earth's support coming from the ground and into our body at each place of contact. And how this mutual flow is not a this first and then that. In each place of contact, it's one event of interaction happening both directions simultaneously, inseparably. You and the ground participating in one inseparable event of mutual flow. Not two, one. And allowing ourselves to rest in this feeling of oneness, of togetherness. Resting into it physically, and in all aspects of our being. And this completes an hour of presence. And invite us all to just stay resting into this, if time allows, for the next few minutes before transitioning. And welcome to stay as long as you would like. If you haven't already fallen asleep, and another option can be to begin to move the hands and feet, arms and legs, shoulders and hips. And